do this. Hi, and welcome back to Mike vs. Kitchen, the show where I, Mike, give myself some kitchen challenges with the hopes of learning something new and maybe a delicious outcome. Due to the nature of a show like this, some of the challenges I give myself I may have attempted before in some way, shape or form, and some are completely new. For example, the Parisian flan was something completely new, shortbread and pasta I'd done before. However, today's episode is something completely new to me. I've never done anything like this before, so this is going to be a learning curve, I'm sure. So in today's episode, I'm going to be attempting donuts. I'm doing this primarily for my brother, who's been a huge help in this whole process of me learning how to video edit, learning how to do the YouTube thing. And this is my little way of saying thank you for all of the help and assistance you have given me. Many moons ago, when I was in the UK, I was introduced to Krispy Kreme. Initially when someone told me about it, I was like, so it's a donut, big deal. Then I tried it. It was fantastic. It changed my life. And now that I'm back in South Africa, we can't really get it that easily. It's only available in like one city. So yeah, I'm going to be attempting an imitation recipe to see what it's like. Here goes. Let's get started. So this recipe is split into two halves. There's the batter and then there is the glaze. Both the batter and the glaze do seem relatively simple, but anything can happen. Major steps include, germinating the yeast, mixing everything in, letting it stand, and then deep frying. Doesn't seem too bad. The recipe will be available once again in the description below. Okay, first things first, it's batter time. Step 1 is to combine our lukewarm water and yeast in our mixing bowl and let it stand for 5 minutes. Let's go. 2 packets or 4.5 teaspoons of yeast, 1/3 of a cup of lukewarm water. Once combined, we need to let this stand for 5 minutes. While the yeast is standing, I'm going to warm my milk in the microwave for 2 minutes. This can stand for the remainder of the time that the yeast requires, and afterwards we will combine the milk, sugar, flour, salt, eggs and butter to the yeast. Let's warm. Now that my yeast has been standing for 5 minutes and my milk has been warmed, I can add all the ingredients to the yeast and mix together. This includes the half cup of sugar, 75 grams of butter, 2 eggs, 1.5 cups of milk, and 2 of the 5 cups of flour. The remainder will be added later. Cool, so let's get them in and start mixing. Once your initial ingredients have combined and you have mixed your dough for 2 minutes, you can add the remaining 3 cups of flour. After adding this, mix for an additional 2 minutes, remembering to scrape down the sides of the bowl as you go. You want to make sure that all the flour is combined and you don't have any lumps. So, let's go. Now that I've combined the rest of the flour into the dough and made a ginormous mess, I can put my dough to the side, cover it with a cloth, and let it stand for 1 to 2 hours. You want to do this in a warm, draft-free place. Side note, when I was mixing my dough, it got very sticky. So at one point, I took it out of the bowl and kneaded it a little bit by hand, just so it would combine a bit better. The K was sticking and all of that. Maybe if you have a dough hook, you can mix your dough together with that and it will give a better result than my regular mixing K. Let's put this to a side for 1 to 2 hours and wait until it has doubled. Now that my dough has been standing for about an hour and a half and has more than doubled in size, I can take it out of the container. After this, I can divide it, roll it out and cut it into donut shapes. Let this stand and then pop them in the deep fryer. So now that I've rolled my dough out with my trusty wine bottle, as I still don't have a rolling pin, I can cut out my donuts. My dough's been rolled to roughly 1/2 centimeter to 1 centimeter thick, and I'm going to be using a coffee mug and a shot glass to cut my donuts out. Ideally, you can use a cookie cutter, but again, I don't have one, so these will have to do. Okay, my surface has been very generously floured because the dough is still fairly sticky. So it just, of course, sticks to everything. So yeah, I generously floured my surface. I'm going to put a little bit of flour on the rim of my coffee cup and shot glass, hopefully so it doesn't stick. Let's see how this goes. Oh dear. Okay, so I definitely need to trim around my donut as the coffee cup doesn't cut very well. But a knife seems to be doing the trick. And there we go, 1 times donut. Now let's carry on and do the rest of the dough. So now that all my donuts are cut, we're ready to fry. You can either do this in a saucepan with about 5 centimeters worth of oil or in a deep fryer. I am fortunate enough to have a deep fryer, so I'm going to do it in that. We're going to preheat our oil to 190 degrees Celsius and fry for roughly 3 minutes per side. This will obviously depend on how thick your donut is and how crispy you want it, but we do want to cook all the way through. That is the most important thing here. We don't want gooey, uncooked donuts. So, let's get started. Golden delicious. The frying of the donuts was relatively easy. Each took about 2.5 minutes, not 3 as previously mentioned. I flipped them over halfway and they came out at a beautiful color. If I kept them in for 3 minutes, they were looking a bit burned. Now that these are cooked, I can put them to a side and prepare the icing. While my donuts are behind me cooling, I can prepare my icing. I do this by simply combining 1/2 cup of melted butter, 2 cups of powdered sugar, 2 teaspoons of vanilla essence, and then 5 to 7 tablespoons of evaporated milk. Okay, now combine. After combining the butter, icing, sugar and vanilla, you're going to see that the glaze is very thick. So now this is when you add your evaporated milk. You're going to add 1 tablespoon at a time until the glaze becomes the correct consistency. So let's do this. First tablespoon. Second tablespoon. Third tablespoon. Fourth tablespoon. Ooh dear. Fifth tablespoon. Well, kind of. Sixth tablespoon. So after 6 tablespoons, this is looking about the consistency I want. We can now take my whisk out, and when my donuts are completely dry, dip them and let it dry. Let's do this. When my donuts are cool, it's time to glaze. So how I'm going to do this is I'm just going to take one, and dunk it, swirl, and lift up. Now I'm going to do these for all of them and see how it turns out. So here we go. All my donuts are now glazed and ready for some eating. Maybe just an idea, when you do this, don't let your donuts cool too much. The warmer donuts seem to melt the icing, which gives you a smooth finish. These in the end look nicer than the cold ones with the thicker icing. Yeah, but all in all, they seem to turn out well. Let's see how they taste. Okay, so this one's raw. That's one, yeah, that's raw. Okay, so I just bit into one of the thicker, good-looking ones, this one, and it's kind of raw. It is one of the thicker donuts, so maybe that one could have been left in for the full 3 minutes as opposed to 2.5 that I did. This one is a thinner donut. It's not as thick as this one, so let's see. Perfection. So it looks like not all the donuts cooked through. About 50% seem stodgy on the inside and 50% seem fine. Based on these odds, I'm going to have to declare defeat and say the kitchen won this week. Next time, I'm going to have to cook the thicker donuts a little bit longer. I don't want to end up with a stodgy mess in the middle again. But all in all, the ones that did cook through are quite delicious. Yeah. So I guess that's kind of a win. Finally, the true question I need to ask is, are they as good as their Krispy Kreme counterparts? My humble answer is no. Maybe I've romanticized the idea of the donuts in my head, but the Krispy Kreme I had in the UK definitely surpassed these. Thanks again for tuning into this episode of Mike vs. Kitchen. Yeah, you donut want to miss next week's episode, where I'll tackle another lofty kitchen challenge and hopefully have a delicious outcome. But in the meantime, stay safe. Bye. Coffee and a donut.